Welcome all as we congregate to the greatest toy line in community, ever growing, ever changing. As we collect and adapt these figures to our own imaginations and embrace the fun, there's much to learn, especially if you're new to Mythics. Hey friends, welcome to another episode of New to Mythics, episode 57, and we have a return guest, Mr. Michael Xavier. How are you, sir?
I'm good, dude. How are you doing?
I'm well, man. Thank you for taking time on your Sunday. It's a holiday.
I saw it as another opportunity to hear that banging intro again.
There it is.
Dude, it gets me every time, man.
I'll
I'm
send
ready
it
for
to you.
the cucumbers on my eyes, my
Yes,
acupuncture.
just relaxing and
Yeah.
uh
I
yeah,
need like a melon infused water for the rest of this show now.
absolutely, absolutely. I know. I was kind of looking at the length of it. It's 46 seconds, and I was like, geez, I don't want to be too pretentious and have the opening too long, but the
Don't
music
touch it.
I like the length of, I want to hear more of that music. So it's
It's
like, geez,
perfect.
man.
It is perfect.
Thank you, man. I
It's
appreciate
not
it. How you
broken,
been?
don't fix it. I'm okay, man. I can't complain. How are you doing? You recovering from the Bay campaign yet, or?
That's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
wanted
I'm
to get
jumping the
your
gun. I'm jumping the gun.
no, that's fine. No, that's fine. It was what a month that was, dude. That was I at first I was kind of surprised that it lasted just a month, and that they didn't want to get more, longer and more. And I don't know, I don't have insight. I imagine if one of us asked Jeremy, he would tell us, but I'm wondering if that month was like for production, like, they have to fit it into a window, of the in the at the factory. So it's like, they're giving as much time because they've got a year full of, other things that need to go into production. So that was my guess. But what do you think about that time for the pre-order?
So I'm actually one of the people that likes the speculation game.
I
So
do
I've
too.
got zero knowledge on what their thought process is. But if I were gonna give my own opinion on it, um, I don't know. I think it was about right. And the reason why I say that is because I don't know how you go about determining a length of time for a campaign like that. And you think that it would make sense, like, well, the longer you run it, the more you'll sell over time. Like somebody not might not have money, you know, in the first 4 weeks, but maybe they might have it for the 4 weeks after that. And you start running into the problem. It's like at some point you have to cut it off,
Mhm.
and you figure it doesn't matter if the campaign is a month or it's 3 months. That middle section of the campaign is always going to be that lull, because you have all the people who jump the gun as soon as it goes live. Everybody's super excited, and there's that huge spike as soon
Mhm.
as
Day one, day
like a
one.
public, right, the day one backers, huge, right, and then it tapers off a little bit, and then you get to that middle section, and then it drops all the way or a lot, and then it just kind of sits there, and we saw that happen with Baethia, right? And
Mhm.
then toward the end, once you're getting to that deadline, now all of a sudden things ramp up again. And I mean, you saw, what did they sell, like 1,000 something more units in the last like 24, 48
Dude, it
hours?
was a jump. Yeah, it was a jump because I'm just like you. I'm sure we're in group chats, and I was telling my buddy Brett, I'm like, dude, I don't know if we're gonna get that. That the last unlock. I'm like, I don't
Yeah,
know
the
if we're gonna.
Fury.
I don't even think we were close. It was like I think it was like 3,000 or maybe less than 3,000. And I'm like, I don't see us hitting four. I don't see us hitting four, man.
I knew that we were going to get close because I had a strong feeling like Big Bad Toy Store does have a habit, not a habit, a history of backing campaigns like this. So I had a feeling that those weren't tabulated yet. I was afraid that we were going to get just underneath what we needed to hit, and then
Like,
like kind of just miss it. So I wasn't 100% sure if we were going to hit that last stretch goal. I'm glad we did, blew it out of the water. But I mean, there were people that, ordered earlier in the campaign that were jumping back in, ordering a second and a third
mhm.
dragon, which is wild. My hat's off to you guys.
Right. Yeah.
That's amazing. Definitely helped us get there. But like I said, I feel like if you extend that campaign any longer, um, I just feel like that's just going to create a longer period of lull in between there, because you might have somebody that's like, oh, it was just the next paycheck after the campaign ended, I
Mhm.
would have been good to buy it. Well, if it was extended another month, that's another 30 days where maybe something can go wrong. Maybe you
Right.
have an expensive car repair that you something can come up. And does that make sense to you? Like,
Yes.
yeah, I just feel like, well, now if it's two months long instead of 1 month, then people are like, oh well, I have an extra month, I don't need to jump on it until then. And then you're gonna have somebody else who's like, man, if they just made it one more week or one more
Right.
month, like I'd be able to do it. So you kind of got to like set your goal in the beginning and say, this is what
Right.
we're gonna do, and this is what we're gonna stick to.
I mean, you're never going to make everyone happy.
Right.
There's always going to be that one guy that's like, man, if you guys had just had it for one more day or one more week or one
Yeah.
more. And, I mean, eventually they do have to shut it down so they can, schedule it into production. Um, but I think that month was good.
Right.
I guess with that month, people were able to, if they had the money to begin with, and they could buy it, like you said, and then they could buy another one,
Right.
given that time. But I always appreciate the studio having that thoughtfulness of, like you said. So we knew about the dragon. It was released at the Legion's Con in November, so
Right.
we knew it was happening. They kind of gave us a window.
And they told us
Ja-
January, and they
Yeah,
pushed it
January.
back.
So
So we got
yeah,
that little cushion, like I was grateful that they even did that.
right. So it wasn't a surprise. We knew it was coming. It was just a matter of trying to, figure it, factor it into bills, to explain it to our partners, that, this is a not just an action figure, babe. This is something huge. This is an art piece. This is a magnificent and majestic, and we really need it in our house.
Yeah. I had the good fortune. My wife stopped in Legion's Con the Saturday night that
Mhm.
we were all there, so she
I think
got
I
to
met
see it in
her.
person. Yeah, yeah, I'm pretty sure you did. She's a character, so she was able to see the dragon in person, and I mean there was no doubt in her mind that it was something that I was going to be ordering. Um,
Absolutely.
so that wasn't, thankfully, that wasn't an issue I had to deal with. It's not an explanation I had to give, and she knows it'll be at least a year before that thing shows up anyway.
Oh yeah, plenty of time. I know I was kind of quiet about it. I knew I was gonna back it, but I didn't really say anything to my fiance. And one day, and she's in the cabal, and she's like, man, that dragon is really pretty. And I'm like, yeah, it's beautiful. And she
Isn't
goes,
it?
we're getting that,
Isn't it
right? And I'm like,
gorgeous?
yes, yes, thank you for your endorsement. Yes, we are getting that.
You,
So
you got to make it seem like it's their idea. Well, I was a little hesitant, but since
yeah, I
you're
was
so
not
gung
sure.
ho for it, I mean,
Right. Yeah.
I can make that sacrifice for you.
For you, babe, I will, yeah, for sure. So yeah, I was lucky on that. But I got the numbers here. um they stopped just below 5,000. And if you were watching any of those shows that they had, Jeremy was on and saying that there was like over 200 people in the store horseman, like 0 hour, that were buying. And it's like, why would you wait until the last second like that?
That's a lot of people. I Granted, there's always going to be someone, like I'm guilty of mismanaging dates on a calendar, and I might not realize it. I have missed pre-order, never with
Mhm.
Legions, but I have missed pre-order deadlines before because kind of like we were talking about before. I'm like, oh, I'll get that next check, or I'll get that the
Mhm.
check after, and then
Right.
it comes and it goes. I'm surprised to see 200 people in there at
Yeah,
the
he
last
was
second.
stunned. It was like 260 or something like that. Some crazy number of last minute people. And and I'm not saying anything negative or anything about the studio at all, but I'm surprised that they didn't let it stay open as long as there's people in there. Because I've seen where they have a deadline for a wave.
Yeah, and they've extended it out a little bit.
I've checked at midnight and it's still there. I've checked at 12:30, 12:40 and it's still there. Eventually they do shut it down, but I'm kind of surprised that they shut it down.
Well, there's two sides to that coin, right? If you create a habit of going beyond the deadlines that you set, then that's what people are going to expect. I
Right.
mean, like we kind of just mentioned it now. We're like, oh well, we've seen them do that before, and ultimately you're going to wind up with somebody then who's like, you know what? Should I get it now or I'll just order it later tonight?
Mhm.
They always run it later anyway, and it just you could be creating future issues by doing that. I kind of feel like I'm a very punctual person. If I got to be somewhere at 1 o'clock and I live 20 minutes away, I leave an hour before I got to get there. Like I'm crazy like that.
Yeah.
I do not like leaving things for the last minute because when I do, I forget, just like I just said, and I wind up screwing
Yeah, I'm
myself
with you.
over. So I I'm kind of a fan of like when you set a time or a deadline, like sticking to that. Just like me, like if I'm having a party at 1 o'clock, don't show up at 3:30. Don't show up at noon. Show up at 1 o'clock. Like
Mhm.
that's the time that we're
Right.
having the party. Going back to like that 30-day time limit thing too, where we were speculating, I also feel like they have a production schedule too that
Mhm.
they want to get a move on for the rest of the year. They just, new figure obscura yesterday. Like there's other things that they want to get out there, and people are going to be hesitant to buy that stuff if the Dragon campaign is still going on. So if I had to guess, that's probably the main reason why they kept the time frame to the 30 days because
Mhm.
that's their schedule, and they debuted a lot of stuff at GCon last year, so like I'm sure they
Oh
want to
man,
start getting a move on all that stuff.
absolutely. There's a lot of good stuff that they need to start producing.
Yeah,
Get in our hands. But yeah, so the Bayethier hit 49.62 and the Fiery Breath coming in at over 4,000.
yeah. I think that
That's really,
it's impressive, right? I think
yeah.
people liked that bonus figure, the Fiery Knight, and I also think that there were people who didn't order the dragon that
Mhm.
jumped in on that just because it comes with the extra head, and something like that can be utilized in photographs or diorama displays, room displays.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree. I love that Fire Knight. I think that one was probably my favorite unlock was that
Really?
fire.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I'm not a big translucent person.
Me either. They feel different.
They feel different. I got this um eraser and it's beautiful, super cool looking figure from Fresh Monkey Fiction, the monster Operation Monster Force. I don't know if you collect that line, but
I don't, but I'm familiar.
it's a nice figure, but it does feel different. Um,
It tends
and
to be
I
more
don't.
brittle, and it's they smell a little bit different.
Yeah, they
They're
did.
really cool. um, but they're not usually like my first choice. That particular one, the orange does pop very, very, very
Mhm.
nicely.
Yeah, it's nice. And then I was talking to Cookie this morning, and he was surprised about the wing set and that it had made that many or had sold that many. But man, 3,000, almost 3,000. I mean, these are some crazy numbers, man.
They are. They are. You
Yeah,
you got a
that's.
lot of completionists in the line, and I think nobody. FOMO is something else, and I don't. I think that there's people who might have been able to do without the wings, but maybe they were afraid of not getting them and then regretting it later. And then people also do, they just want every bonus figure that they can get.
Mhm.
So, we discussed it on our podcast. Like you don't want to be that person that didn't order the wings because you were like, I don't really need splayed out wings. But then later on, you're like, man, for a completionist's sake, like I need the figure that came with that. And now you're paying $150 minimum just for
Mhm.
that figure anyway. So,
Right. Yeah, you're either pay now or pay a lot later.
and it was
So
cool that they went and they threw that in there because they said that they were able to do that without really raising the cost on our end. So it kind of helps justify because you're like, wow, $150 just for wings. It's like, do I want to do that? But now you throw a figure in there with it, and it definitely makes that pill a little bit easier to swallow.
right. How do you feel about people that are buying extras to capitalize on, selling to people because of FOMO?
If they went into a Target or a Walmart and they wiped out the shelves and you were not able to go in there and find one, then I think that that's like the worst kind of collector, right?
Hmm.
But when you have something like this that is open for everybody, if you want to order one, you can order one. If you want to order 1,000, you can order 1,000. They're gonna make whatever it is that you buy. I have no judgment against those people whatsoever. At the end of the day, there's gonna be people who didn't buy because they genuinely couldn't afford it at this time. There's going to be people who couldn't buy for whatever reason. Maybe,
Hmm.
I don't know, maybe they just don't like it now. And later on, they'll decide, you know what? This is a really cool piece. I do want it. Maybe they don't have the room for it now. And
Right.
later on, they're going to move. Whatever the case is, later on, there's going to be people who do want this. And you need somebody who's willing to sell one, right?
Right.
If I only bought one dragon, unless I decide to get rid of every Mythic Legion I own, like I'll never get rid of mine. So you can't get one from me. You know, you need people that buy extras. It's just
Right.
it's it's common sense. Like people love to hate on people that sell figures later, but you're the one that needs to buy one. So you have to go to somebody. Are they going to do that for free? Or should they invest,
Right.
500, 600, $700 of their own money, interest free, for years on end, just
Right.
waiting for what if you want to buy one 5 years from now? Do you really think someone should have ordered an extra just in case they want to sell it to somebody who missed out 5 years from now? I don't understand hating on those people. I really don't.
Yeah. No, I don't either. I appreciate it. I think where it could get sore is like, okay, who's going to set the precedence? Who's going to set the price? In the cabal or whatever of what is a fair
I
resale
think the
price.
buyers, I think the buyers set that price
Mhm.
because realistically, if you come in and you're like, "Oh, I have $700 for a Baethier," and you're setting it right there. If you're coming in at and you're like, "Oh, I have 550 for a Baethier," and nobody bites, I mean, that's what he cost, right?
Right.
So ultimately, it's going to be what whoever that first person really is that's willing to spend the money. You always have somebody that comes in late and money's not really an issue to them, so they don't have an issue spending that. Whether or not
Right.
everybody's going to expect that or want that for theirs, and it's supply and demand, right? So initially, if 100 people ordered extra Baethiers and there's 100 posts in the cabal like, hey, if you missed a Baethier, I have one. Whoever has their price the lowest is going to sell first, right?
Right. Right. Right.
You
Yeah.
know, I have an extra Baethier and mine is what I paid for it plus shipping. You know what? I ordered an extra. This thing is huge. I actually don't have room for it. I just want to get rid of it. It could start that way. That could be a
Yeah.
precedent.
Yeah. Like you. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I don't feel like you're capitalizing on the people or their FOMO or whatever. They're providing a service almost because, like you said, they're paying ahead of time, and
Yeah.
it's a year and a half at the least from now. So you deserve something for that. So
You could say whatever you want about those guys, but at the end of the day, you need them. You need that capitalistic person to go out there and say, I'm going to buy an extra Baethier in
right,
case I want to sell it later.
I
Otherwise,
agree.
you're not going to get one. With something like this, where they've said, like, this is going to be the only time we sell him, we're not ordering extra to bring to shows, we're not doing any of that. You needed people that were willing to fork out an extra 550 however many times over to get extras. And
Mhm.
then it's crazy because, like, people don't just get mad at those guys. Like there was some hot takes on retailers like Big Bad Toy Store selling theirs. They don't even like
Yes,
their
I was going to
price.
ask you about that.
I'm like I don't like what is that? What are the companies supposed to do? Like they're paying what we pay,
Right,
and they ordered at least 24 of them. So do the math on that. Let's forget about tax. Let's forget about shipping and all of that.
right.
Like they're literally tying up like more than 10 grand in
Yeah,
dragons. Like what are they supposed to sell you them for? Like when is it worth it to them, like, to set that price?
right.
I,
I don't think that they need an explanation or that, like, I don't know. I read some of the stuff in the community and I'm like, I almost shake my head like, come on, guys. It's like they said already, Jeremy has said before that they're not making any special sales
right,
to companies. Everyone that buys it, they're buying it all for the same price.
right.
So,
And,
you
and,
know,
and unpopular opinion here, like if you're complaining about the big bad toy store price, that's the second cheapest the Dragon's ever going to be. I really feel like the community, like the prices are going to be more.
I
Like
agree.
like to me, it's not worth the headache of tying up 550 plus tax and shipping if I lived elsewhere to turn around and sell something for $50. I'm gonna tie up $800 to make $50 profit.
Right. Yeah.
That makes no
Zero
sense. You know
sense.
what I
Yeah.
mean? And then the other coin of that is, oh well, you're supposed to be like a nice guy, this or that. Okay, great. So I'm gonna invest $800 of my own money just to do like a nice thing. I'm sure there will be a couple of people that do that, but come on, that's not that's
What's
not
the
the
point? Yeah.
norm.
Yeah.
You know?
It's not good business practice, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody, I try to give back whenever I can. I'm certainly not well off enough. I'm certainly not well off enough to just dump 850 on Dragon stuff just a hole to help somebody later. Like
Right.
I'm not, and I think
Yeah.
most people are in that boat where,
Right. No, I
it's just
agree.
not
I agree. And
not worth the
honestly,
gamble.
I don't think 799, which is what they're asking for. I don't think that's a bad price. I mean, you and I have both seen that dragon, and if the horseman would have asked for that, I would have tried to scrape up that much to buy it because in my opinion, it's worth it. I think it's not out of the realm. Crazy price for that dragon.
Figured they paid 550 plus what does tax bring that over? How much is tax on $550? Because they got to pay tax on it too, right?
Yeah.
And then
Between
even
what,
if
8 and 10%, something like that. Eight or
right,
nine.
I don't know what they would pay where they are, but the price is definitely coming up over $600 there,
Right.
and then you're paying your shipping and your freight on that as well.
Right.
So what are they making on a Dragon? 100 or 150? Is that worth tying up thousands of dollars for them to make that? Probably at that point,
Right.
you know. So
Plus, I think it's a service to them too. If people see, hey, we have everything. We have horseman stuff. Come buy from us.
right,
We even have the dragon. So it's a
yeah,
good thing for them too. It's
I
like,
agree.
oh, I'm looking for stuff. I'm looking for the dragon. What? Oh, they have this here in stock, or I'm going to pre-order the Rising Sun stuff too while I'm here. So
Yeah.
I think it benefits them to have those dragons there.
And they are a business, right? Like they exist to make a profit. Like
Right.
that's what they do. I don't think they should be gouging anybody, but I don't think that their price here is gouging.
No, I
I
think
think
I think it was
it's
reasonable. I
I
think it
tell
was.
you what, their price is better than I expected it to be. I
I,
thought it
I
was going
I
to be
agree. Yeah, like you said, I think that's about as cheap as you're gonna find it. Um,
and they're giving you
unless
the
you
unlocks with it. They're not doing anything shady. It's not like they're gonna
right.
be charging separate for Sir Benegar. Like here, $150 for Sir
Yeah,
Benegar and $800
they
for
would
the
have
dragon.
caught some shit for that. I
For
think.
sure. For sure.
But like Jeremy said, I mean, it's theirs. They
It
bought
is.
them. They could part them out however they wanted to.
Right.
They could do a left wing and a right wing if they wanted to. I don't know if they would sell them, but it's theirs to sell. So if they wanted to part them in pieces, they could.
Yeah, definitely.
So
I mean, listen, I went I had to go to them when I bought my Snake Mountain. I didn't get in on any of the original like when it was released and it's not like I went to them thinking I was going to pay that original Snake Mountain price. I'm not trying to be insensitive to
yeah,
people. I think people just need to be realistic. And,
right,
and and that's really what it is. I'm not like trying to be like mean or like, put people down, but I think people need to set realistic expectations on what is a business because they think that that's bad business, but it's not. Bad business would be losing money, right?
right,
They're not out there to, just they got to do something. They
right.
they,
They're
they
not
got to
going to
stay
give
above the
this stuff
line.
away.
Right.
They need to, they need to sell. They need, it's a business, like you said. So
If they were
I don't
going
know.
behind everybody's back, like buying up all of Target and Walmart stock on something and then selling it on the shop's website for more money, like that's shady. But that's
Yeah,
not what we're talking about here at
yeah.
all.
And I mean, I didn't mean this for this all to be a big bad toy store thing, but
No,
I don't
it's
see
for
them
combo.
raising their prices like when they did the heads packs. I mean, it was like a $2, I think, price rise, for the heads packs,
Hmm.
like the one that Eric did,
Yeah.
and the other, it was like I think it was like $12.
So depending on what you're getting, like specifically related to legions, sometimes they wind up being like not too bad of a deal. Like I know their ogres really, at least when I got into the line and I had to go back and buy a lot of that siege and Bjorngar stuff. Like their ogre prices were really good. So
Mhm.
I ordered a Gadriel from the Exodus sale, and my Gadriel from the Exodus sale was actually more money than I paid for my Gadriel from Big Bad Toy Store, which is pretty funny when you think about it, because of
Yeah,
shipping and everything.
right.
It's like my
And
out
then
of pocket cost was actually less.
I wonder too, are they going to charge their regular flat $4? They can't charge that, can they?
I paid $4 to ship my Snake Mountain, so I don't want to speak for them. I don't
Wow.
know. I don't know. I don't.
So you paid $4.
Yeah,
You were like,
it went
yes.
to my pile of loot, dude. I'll try to find the email. You know, like when you ship my loot now and they give you that little thing.
Mhm.
I had to pay the tax on it and the $4 shipping. I clear out my inbox sometimes, so I'll double check. That's from a few years ago, but if I still got that email, I'll send you a screenshot.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's such a good deal. I mean, they must have some kind of deal with the postal service or something.
I'm sure that they do. Someone actually mentioned that in a comment somewhere. I was having a conversation from that. I mean, do they ship so much, and maybe it's different because they're a business. I have no clue.
I don't either, but I mean, it I think that draws in more sales though, because you're like, I'm just gonna buy from Big Bad Toy Store because $4, I'll just wait until they're all in stock, and for $4 I get everything. So
Yeah. It really is a good deal. We should point out though that some of the other like official horseman retailers, some of them don't even charge shipping over a
right,
certain amount. So like I
absolutely.
know like Horsehead, if you buy over a certain amount of dollars, they ship your stuff for free, which is always a good deal. I
Yes.
don't know. I don't know if they would do that with Bayethier.
Yeah, they'd be like, maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe not. But
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, I just thought that was interesting, and I'm glad that you went down that road with me on the Big Bad Toy Store thing, because I think it's interesting, and I don't see it as a negative.
Me
Some
either.
people, have a tendency to kind of veer into negative, but I didn't see it as a bad thing. So
It warranted discussion, definitely.
I think so. I think so. I think so. So I wanted to bring up the what your thoughts were when you saw the Enter the Crossroads Choose Your Path. Like what came into your mind when you saw that?
So we're jumping the gun here, but in our next episode,
I'm
we'll
sorry.
talk about. No, it's okay because it came up. Actually,
Preview spoiler.
it should be releasing tomorrow. The first thing I thought of was you know those books that you would read
Yes.
like the
Choose
Choose Your
your own
Path.
adventure.
It for
Yeah.
some reason that popped into my head right away, and I'm like, oh, you read like the first 15 pages, and then it's like if you want to go through the mountains, turn to page
Mhm.
178. If you want to go underneath the mountains, turn to page 29 or whatever. So that's what I it actually made me think of initially, but I don't know, man. I'm thinking maybe it has something to do with the armory.
You
Is it
think
like
so?
the
Like you could
maybe?
go this path where it's knights, or you could go this path where it might be,
Yeah,
you know,
maybe. Good or bad.
goblins. What?
Yeah, like I don't know, like legions of light, dark legions, or I don't know. Like your guess is as good as mine, but I'm thinking maybe it has something to do with that experience
Yeah. Yeah.
because they did talk about bringing it back. So
Oh yeah, dude. I hope they bring it back. I'm sure. I haven't heard them say that they wouldn't. Um, and I think it was a lot more successful than maybe that they thought. I don't know. I think it was an awesome experience and a lot of fun for. I've heard people that went, or their girlfriends or partners went, and they ended up buying a night or building a night just because it was a blast.
yeah, and it was smooth too. Like so when they
Smooth.
first talked about it and like how they were gonna run it, in my head I was like, that's going to be a little bit of a nightmare because you're just used to like waiting online for the horseman's table and stuff, and they've gotten really good at actually managing all that, the way they figured out how to do the exclusives as their own table in its own area.
Mhm.
So like I guess every year they just get better and better at running it. For last year being the first year that they ran the armor experience, I thought it was so smooth, man. Like I don't really know how to speed that up anymore. Like it was pretty good. Everything kind of moved along pretty quick. Like you hopped on that line and you were in there building your stuff.
Yeah, I think they learn and adapt as they go. And so they had like, just 2 nights, to go through the line. And then they realized that, there wasn't bottlenecking, and everyone did it real, like you said, it was smooth. So they unlocked the, as many as you need to make or want to make, or come back in line and do more, because they had the tickets and stuff initially, um, for that. So a lot of people were like, geez, I'm only going to be able to make, 4 nights, for the whole weekend or something, not really knowing what to expect. But I think it just turned out so well. I'm just curious what they can do to improve it. And I don't know if they would change it, but I just wonder, you know, logistically, is there anything you think that they could do to make it better? I mean, I'm sure they're going to add more, but what do you think? Is there anything that they could do?
I have no criticism to make it better. I thought for, to be able to go in there and basically shop a la carte
Mm-hmm.
for the figure that you wanted to make, because it's not even like you're like, okay, I got all of the Dark Knight parts. Like if you wanted, the limbs here, but this, the brighter armor or whatever the case, like you grabbed whatever you wanted. And then like even like the packaging, they had the clamshells and the card
Mm-hmm.
backers to the side. It's like, well, how many have you want these? And it was just all really really quick, man. Oh, you got here four, boom, one, two, three, four. Everything was there. Which accessories do you want? Cool. They just
It's
grabbed.
easy, and then they'll help you if you need help
Yeah, it was
or
cool,
you have
man.
some confusion. I think because some people were grabbing, I think they grabbed the wrong color, the wrong type. I think a few people had did that. I think I had grabbed. Well, my stepson wanted. He gave me a list of knights to build, and he had sent a picture, and I think he wanted the jousting helmet, and I grabbed him the pig helmet,
Mm.
and so. But that's my fault. That wasn't anything they did. They even put the figure pieces on a card, so that you could see what was in the bin there.
Yeah,
So
which is
sorry,
like
my dog. There's a
brilliant. No, good.
neighbor walking by.
You might hear my kids screaming in the background
Yeah,
because they're all running around downstairs.
but I don't know. I'm a speculator too, and I'm curious as to what they might add. I hope that they continue with the knights. I mean, armory is knights, but um,
Well,
I
would they
hope
change the name? Same experience, different name, like the Crypt or something.
that would be cool. Yeah, I mean, it is pretty much the year of the skeletons. So
It really is, man. We All Star Six Plus is right on the way.
somebody was asking in a chat that I was in about All Stars. Do you think that will continue, or do you think this is the end of All Stars?
I think they were pretty clear about it when I mean they had like a whole show pretty much just to discuss this very topic. I think All Stars as we know it is done. Um, Again, who knows, man? I mean, if enough people like were really demanding, bring it back, bring it back, bring it back, they might. But they've been pretty clear that like what you get with the newer figures is so much more
Mm-hmm.
than what you're getting on those older releases. And it's true when you look at what you get with like a Sir Elijah versus what you used to
Oh
get with
man,
like a main figure. Um, I mean, what would you get before? Like an axe, the belt,
right.
maybe a sword. If you're lucky, sometimes an extra head. So I don't know if the value is really there. If you're a completionist, I get it. Like that would like drive me crazy not having those specific ones. So you're hoping to see the older ones released, but after that Necronominus wave delivered this year, it's the first time since I've collected the line where like I put a figure on the shelf with older figures in the collection, and they almost look like they could be two different lines at this point. Like that's how
Yes,
far advanced the new stuff is. That's how good
absolutely.
it's gotten. I threw Adalric and the new Sir Gideon on the shelf. I have like a little like Etheron shelf there, and
Mm-hmm.
I got just a really nice Sir Owain. He's the All Star release, like nice and tight. Got him, and he's looked so good in that display for as long as I've had him. And just adding those two newer figures, I was like, wow, they made Sir Owain look dated. You know?
Does that kind of take away from Owain? I'm looking at Owen right now, but I get what you're saying. Like, it does nostalgia make it still look great?
Yes, I'm
Or
a huge fan of that. So to me, like you have, for the Army of Leodesius, uh, when they reissued. Of course, I'm drawing a blank right now. This is crazy. I know all these guys like the back of my. Who's the leader of the Army of Leodesius? At
um
what is the
um
name? I'm really drawing a blank.
Attila?
Attila.
Yeah.
Wow, why did I not know that? That's
You're
amazing.
drawing a blank, made me draw a blank.
So Attila 2 is so good, right?
Dude.
Like I think that's awesome. Like the pauldrons, he looks so good. But to me, like you still need to have Attila 1,
Mhm.
And you're right, they look like they could be from two separate lines, but at the end of the day, like it still very much resembles that original character. But like I don't think it loses anything in that respect. I have a really big appreciation for the older and more original figures, like from the early Kickstarter, but just everything now just seems so different, just so much more like ornate. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Oh, the design and detail. Like you look at the original Sir Gideon and then the new Sir Gideon. I mean, the old one is still amazing, but I mean, looking at this, like you could just sit there and stare at it. Like the the arm, his elbows,
Yeah.
the detail. It's got little hawks or eagles, whatever they are.
Dude, and
It's
just
just
all like the individual sculpting, like in the gauntlets and
Etheron
stuff, the
right
little
here.
metal. It's so good.
It's
So good.
insane. Just
You know,
insane. You
so
know.
yeah, I don't think it takes away from the older figures in that respect. His colors are still good. I love that he's got that really nice black on the helmet. We're still talking about Sir Owain. Um,
Okay.
but it's just, you know, the new stuff is just that much better.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? I love both. I get that they've improved, and I get that Eric says that he wants to create more. They don't want to look back, they want to look forward.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool that they're doing like the mythic, what's it called? The
The Legacies of Mythos.
legacies. Yes, thank you.
So I think that's what's replacing All
Mhm.
Stars. Rather than every single year say, "Hey, which older figures do you want?" I think they will take older in-demand figures that people want, and that's
Mhm.
how they're gonna give us a lot of those version twos. I mean, it's in the name, Legacies, right? I would think that that's how they're gonna do that, and then. When it comes to, let's just say, like a Magnus, who's a popular character, and there's people that maybe want him down released as an all star
Mhm.
down the road, they've shown us a willingness to go back and reproduce figures as not part of All Stars either. We got it a little bit with the mystery boxes, where they did pretty much production runs on a
Right.
bunch of older figures that weren't All Stars, and they put them back out there. Faunus has been in demand.
Mhm.
They put Faunus back out there. That was one of the bigger. Oh, Calavius was another big one. They
Right.
never had he was. I don't think he was ever an All Star. They did another production run on him. They did it with
Snag.
the Fury Orcs.
Right.
So I think that if there's enough demand for certain characters, or if they see enough people like headhunting certain characters in the Cabal, they might do more specialized runs like that in the future. Maybe if they have a gap in production between certain waves, they might do that just to put them out at shows. Because dude, like we've seen it before where they'll be like, yeah, we don't have any more of these guys, and then they'll go to a show and there'll be like four different figures from Advent of Decay on the table. Like, where did those come from? Did you just
Exactly.
find those in the warehouse
Exactly.
again? So they're
Exactly.
good at doing that stuff. I just don't think that they need to commit and dedicate factory production time to those anymore. You know?
I agree with what you're saying, but I'm one of those, like, I'm new. I'm not new anymore, but I'm new in that I don't have a lot of the originals, and so I'm going backwards trying to get. Not I'm not a completionist, thank God, but there's stuff that I want, but for $300 or $400 or whatever, it's like I can't afford to
I
spend
hear
that
you.
on one figure. So like them doing the mystery boxes was like, dude, this is fantastic. Thank you guys so much for doing this. And then it seemed like there was some division in that, where some of the older dogs were like, no, you're devaluing the older figures by reproducing. But new people like me are like, we're grateful that we have the ability to buy these reissues and stuff. So I
I mean, they're a collector friendly company, dude. If anybody that was complaining about their figures like getting devalued, like I feel you as somebody who's paid a lot for certain figures. I watched them come down. You don't even want to know what I paid for Ilgar. You don't want to know what I paid for Azar. Like it's
right,
almost embarrassing at this point. But guess what, Mike? Too bad. Like the fact that somebody else was able to get that figure for $40, that's great. And that's really the horsemen should not be concerned with what your collection is worth. They should be concerned
right.
about making the community happy, and that's
No,
what
I
they are, and that's what
agree.
they're doing.
I
Did it
agree.
sting me? Am I sitting here like, oh well, thank God, I don't think they're gonna re-release the original Thor? Sure, but like if they did, then great, and like I'll probably order two or three more. It's just the way that it goes.
And I think it's interesting because I've heard on you guys' podcast where you talk about, how much you guys would have spent on Romulus, or, when Vitus
Hmm.
was more expensive or whatever. It's like it's good to get that kind of perspective, because me as new, I don't
Dude,
know.
he
I
was
don't.
he was $300, like at one point, Vetus, and
Yeah,
like dude, I bought like five of them for like $35. Like, it's
yeah.
whatever. It's the way it
And I
is.
guess I guess the value only matters if you're gonna sell.
Right.
If I never plan to get rid of my old scapular, then I don't care what it's worth. Doesn't matter. I have no plans ever of selling, any of this stuff. If I have extras, or if a friend needs one, hey, that's different. But I don't really care about the value. And I was just talking to somebody about that today, because he's like, I don't really want to open my barbarian, because I only have one, and I feel like they're going to be rare. And like,
Okay.
I get that kind of, like, but they're meant to be played with. Like, you're missing out, dude. I mean, these figures are freaking amazing. Open that bad boy.
I feel like you're an inbox collector or you're not. I'll leave certain things mint in box if I have more than one. Like
Mhm.
I have a nice little like display wall where everything is like new in box
Right,
and it's hanging up there or whatever. Um, but I mean, I got into this line, and that's not to say one way is right or one way is wrong. Like,
right.
people should collect whatever way brings them the most joy. But if you're an opener, like if you like to open these things and actually mess around with them, you're doing yourself a disservice by buying something and like, I'm gonna leave it in there. First of all, that figure is riding a lot of hype right now because it's the new thing and you can only get it at the show. You
Right.
haven't been able to go on their website and get it yet. And I mean, you see people paying up to $200 for that, and it's amazing. Like he looks so good, but I'm not gonna go and spend that yet on that figure. I was very lucky. Okay, Ryan Gonzalez hooked me up. He was able to get one for me at ZoloCon.
Ryan's the man.
But if he didn't, I'm not paying $200 for that at this point in time. If I went through the rest of the year and was unable to secure one at a show, then talk to me this time next year and I'll probably be in a cabal. Does anybody
Right.
selling one? And if I, whatever, if I really need it, I'm gonna pay for
Yeah.
the
How do
figure.
you
But
feel
I'm not
about
gonna
that
jump the gun.
that strategy of it being a touring figure, and only available at shows? Um,
With the Horsemen, that's never all it is. I mean, they've already confirmed it will be up on their website at some point. If they want to release it at the shows first and give people something to be excited about and give people a reason to get off their couch and go to the show, I'm all for it.
mm,
I have the luxury of being able to attend Legion's Con every year because it's in my home state of New Jersey. Um, but if there's figures that are specific to Toylanta or somewhere else, I'm not mad at that because they do us the service of putting it on their website later anyway.
right.
So it's not like they're making if you want to go, you got to hop on a plane to go get a toy. You jump online and get it. And I know sometimes it's competitive online. Maybe I've just been lucky. I've never not been able to secure something from the Horsemen on their site. Their
Mm,
website runs very, very smooth. I remember the old website. That's what was up and running when I first started collecting the line, and that was a headache. Those first like in stock sales, like the Siege one, the Bjorngar, like that was my very first in stock
mm,
sale, and people kind of like warned me about it. And when I tell you like I added to cart and I went to check out, and that little thing was just turning for like
You're
40
like,
minutes
oh
before I even got
no.
to my cart. Yeah, and then I didn't walk away with everything that I added to cart. Like I remember I went in there, dude, and I tried to add everything. And some of the stuff sold out before I was able to check out, but it's not like it took a long time and I'm saying exaggerating 40 minutes. Nah, bro, it was like 40 minutes from the time I hit checkout to the time it actually let me check out. That was a nightmare. You go to now and you add it to cart, and as long as your information is saved on your phone,
Right.
I'm gonna say most times you're gonna be okay. If you're dilly dallying and you're like, yeah, let me get the new
No, you
barbarian.
grab and go. You grab
Oh,
and
you know
go.
what? I need a few of these Legion builders that they have up here. That's cool. I'll add those. If you're taking 2 to 3 minutes, yeah, you're gonna miss out on whatever the really hot
Right.
product is. But if you just
I
go in there with the mentality, add to cart, check out, your information is saved in your phone. As long as you got a decent connection, you should be okay. You
Yeah. I
should be
think
okay.
people are trying to save on shipping when they do that. And sometimes you got to bite the bullet. If there's something in there
Yeah.
that you really want and you know quantities, like I had my friend, I was at work and I couldn't take a break. And I don't even think I had the money at that moment when they had an in stock sale and the headless horseman, the original one, was going up. And I think they had maybe four. They didn't really outright say we only have four,
Right.
but they only had like four.
Right.
And my friend grabbed one, but he got it and got out like right away, and he was able to get one. So,
That's how it goes
um,
sometimes. I mean, they order enough of these products. Like I know, like the Ninians went fast and everything, but it's not like they're only loading up like five or 10 of those. If it's a test shot sale, yeah, you're probably gonna go in, try to check out right away, and there's
yes,
a higher likelihood that you're not gonna get it.
right,
Those
right.
old like Friday in stock sales that they used to have, where they would throw up like some older Advent of Decay and Soul Spiller and stuff, like those you really got to be lightning quick. Like I didn't always have success on those.
Right.
They're really putting up a limited quantity, but they're throwing 1,000 or 2,000 of these up there. They're gonna sell out quick, but you
You
just got
have a
to move with a
chance.
purpose. Yeah, you have
Yes,
a
yeah.
realistic
So
shot.
when the barbarian does come, for people that didn't have a chance to get one, don't sleep on it. Don't wait. "Oh, I'll get it tomorrow." Don't do that.
No,
Don't
definitely not.
don't kill yourself. In your car trying to, get on the shop, pull over, and and do it. But
Yeah, if the sale goes live at 1 and you're on the highway 1250, get to a rest stop. Go
yeah,
fill up with gas.
right.
Pull off the
Yeah.
highway and park safely, and then do what you got to do.
Yeah, but I really respect the horsemen in that they do everything they can to ensure that their fans get the stuff. You know, it's like it's never been unfair. It's never been like, oh, you guys, there's always someone that's gonna cry. But
Always.
like Figure Obscura, they'll release it in the morning, and then usually they'll release it, the end of the day, or I've even seen it where they will put it up the following week, like Ghost of Christmas Past. They'll put up more stock, the following weekend or something. It's like they do what they can to try, and then they understand that we're people, we all make different amounts of money. Some people have the ability to buy two dragons, some don't. So I think they have that in mind, that they want us to have their stuff.
Yeah. They do. They make a really honest effort at doing that, and I really do feel like even if that inventory goes quick when they put it up on their website, um, I mean they haven't exactly said like this is the only year you're gonna be able to get that barbarian. I don't know. I wouldn't be rushing to throw hundreds of dollars at it. At least give
No.
it till the end of the year. See if they're gonna do a show in your area, or if you're gonna make it to a show, and
Right.
take a shot. If you go to Legion's Con and they don't have it, or they sell out before you can get it at the table, then make a good friend in the cabal. Like
Right,
that's
right.
all
No,
I can.
I'm sure that I know they're going to have their in stock sale. I think they said towards the end of the year
Yeah,
that the Barbarian will be in. They'll let us know ahead of time, and I'm sure that they'll have some at Legion's Con too.
for sure.
Yeah. So new figure Obscura. What's your thoughts on this, Mike?
I don't want to like oversell it. I think that's like one of the prettiest figures that they've ever made.
It's gorgeous. It's
That's really
gorgeous.
really pretty. So then, the next thing I'm going to tell you is, no, I didn't order it. I'm still in recovery mode from the dragon. So this is you too, right?
Yeah. Oh, I'll be in recovery for a while. Yeah,
Me,
I had a lot like this last month or two, like house taxes,
Yeah.
dental stuff, car
Me
stuff.
too, dude. I just had emergency
Yeah.
oral surgery like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So I mean, life's you. There's, what are you gonna do? But yeah, I passed on it. I felt guilty because usually I will choke up and get whatever comes out. And
Yeah.
it's not anything against this figure because I think it's a
No.
gorgeous figure, like you
It
said.
it's so I was on like the Anubis train, everything like those were my favorite figure
Mhm.
obscuras to date. It's not even close. Like this is a beautiful
Beautiful.
beautiful figure.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Somebody made a post, and I brought this up. I have a live show every other Sunday, and I brought this up. Somebody had made a post about it being a lot of work, um, or maybe it was too fussy,
Oh, I
or
saw that. I read that.
yeah. What's your thought on that? Because like my thought is when I first saw it, or I watched Bill Dorklayer's review of the figure, and I my mind categorized it like, okay, this is not a barbarian, this is not an armory knight that I'm going to take outside and pose it or take pictures of. This is going to be this Ganesha. I'm going to look at it, I'm going to pose it how I want, and I'm going to put it on my shelf, and I'm going to look at it and admire it and think it's beautiful. But
Hmm.
it's not something that I'm going to be like taking out and posing and having fun. I'm not taking it to the dental office, I'm not taking it to a friend's house or whatever. And I'm okay with that. Like some people are like, this guy was kind of complaining how it's fussy or it's a lot of work, or maybe Necronominus is too fussy of a figure, and it's tricky or whatever. And it's like I'm okay with that. I don't mind there being figures that are for display and figures that are fun, hand candy.
Yeah. I
What's
think
your thought?
far and away the stuff that they produce is very user friendly. uh, Overall. You gave a really good example with Necronominus. I'm actually going to say that wave in general has a few figures that have quite a bit going on. We were talking about Gideon. Even Gideon, I feel like, has quite a bit going
He's
on. And
busy.
that busy, but like that's also what give them such like a dynamic like shelf presence.
Right.
But let's go back to Necronominus himself because there's a few pieces like so he's got the soft goods, and these are things that have arguably upgraded the looks of the figures,
Right.
right? So the things that wind up frustrating me the most when I'm messing around with that guy, right? Because you got, especially if you want him fully done up with his wings and everything, and you got those front bone pieces that hang
Mhm.
over here at the chest and they come
Right.
down. So you're trying to like those are popping off while you're trying to secure the cape
Yeah,
to it, and I get that. It's a valid comment to say, well, they
it
are a
is.
little busy in, maybe it takes the fun factor down a little bit, but something's got to give somewhere. So the fun factor maybe comes
Right.
down a little bit. You're not effortlessly toying this thing around, but the fact that it's still a full hands-on Mythic Legion. I mean, you can still they're not limited in their articulation any more than any other would be. You
No.
still get it in the poses you want. The cost of that is like their shelf presence is also better than anything else legions wise that's
Absolutely.
on my shelf. Necronominus is very, very busy, but he's arguably one of the best. I keep turning my head to look at him.
I know, I'm looking
One
at
of
mine here. I
one of
could
the
grab him,
best.
but I don't
Yeah.
want him to fall apart when I grab
No,
him.
I
But
got mine on the flight stand. I'm not moving him. That's
he
it.
ain't going nowhere.
Display Necronominus will be display Necronominus forever. If I want to take photos of one, I'm buying another one.
Right.
And so
Absolutely.
it ties into what we're talking about, right? Like when does it become like too much? I don't know. I think it depends what you're trying to do with a figure.
Right.
It, you don't want a statue, right? If you want a statue, you get a statue, and then you don't got to worry about fussiness because it's
Right.
like that forever. You want a toy, you want to be able to move it around and do stuff. Well, in order to be able to do all those things and still command that same type of shelf presence, they're going to have a little bit more going on in the accessory department, soft goods, all that. The Father Christmas I felt was kind of like that. It's an awesome figure. He's beautiful. That robe that he's got and the belt. Sometimes it could be a little tricky to secure the
Mhm.
belt the right way. Um, when they have a lot of stuff on them, that's just how it goes. I think as the more we get into soft goods with figures, you're just gonna experience that a little bit more. These aren't like skin tight pajamas like some of like your Mezco superheroes and everything. These
Right.
are long flowing robes and belts and satchels and all those things that really make them as good looking as they are. But I
Right.
would say like more than 90% of the line is about as user friendly as you can get. Is just hard plastic
I
popping,
agree.
move it
Yeah, I
around, and you're
agree.
good
I
to
agree.
go.
I mean, and there's some things, like say there's a belt that doesn't stay on, or a harness, or you work around it, or leave it off, or put it on a different character. That's what I've done. I'm like, nah, this doesn't really work on this character. Or the fur, I'm not a huge fan. I like how the fur looks, but it just sometimes the fur doesn't work for me, and I'm like, it doesn't look right. Or
Because there's differences sometimes in the cuts. Like I
Mhm.
guess it all depends who cut your figure that day. So as somebody who's Legion built a lot of these guys and ordered multiples of some of the same ones, not all of those soft goods parts, at least the older ones, those old capes, the
Mhm.
holes would be lined up in different parts,
Right.
so they might align a little bit different. The old furs would kind of be like that. Um, there's some variation. So I will say to people, if you're sometimes having an issue with a certain accessory, sometimes the same accessory from the same exact figure, swapping it over will completely get rid of any issue that you have. So the Gaspar the Unamused, the brother Xavier, right? So the first one I opened up and I had swapped his legs and I had swapped his feet. The in stock form that figure was tight, it was nice, it was perfect, like there was nothing wrong with it. When I swapped his legs to the Bardric legs with the Monkey King shins, and then
Mhm.
I put the Gaspar feet back into there, the one foot was very very loose in there. Like it wouldn't just fall out, but I mean if I yanked it hard enough, that one foot would fall out. You actually sent me an extra pair of Gaspar feet. Do you remember doing that?
I think I do.
I put a four I was in search
Yes.
of, and you sent it to me literally the next day. Those
Yeah.
are Gaspar the Unamused feet, literally the same foot that I'm talking about having a hard time with. Guess what? The ones you sent me in, I popped in there, get that satisfactory, and it's the same part. Sometimes those tolerances, however minimal they might be,
Right.
because factories they were, as long as it falls within a certain tolerance, you're good. So I think
Right.
you're gonna find differences sometimes.
Right.
Though the feet you send me, which is the same exact part from the same exact figure, literally fit inside the piece that I
Right.
swapped to. It was like 100% better.
Isn't that strange though? Like different batches of plastic or something.
There's so many things that can go into it. Temperatures. When stuff is being produced, or where you house your collection. There's a lot of things that go into that stuff.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's all interesting. But yeah, I didn't mean to focus on that as a negative, like that person saying, but I think it's interesting. And Jeremy responded,
I saw
beautifully.
all of his points. Yeah.
Yeah, saying that not everything is we try to do different, diverse different things, and not all of them are going to be complex, and not all of them are going to be hand candy. They're all different, and I'm all for that. If it's not something I like, I won't pick it up, or I'll pick it up another time, or
I think they're making things that they want to make, that they would want to see produced,
right.
and I don't think that they should have to cut corners, to appeal to, I don't know, just to make it more user friendly. Like if they have a certain
Right.
vision for a figure, then that's how it should get made. And if that one just happens to be a little bit more complex, then so be it. So Necronominus for me, he may not be the most fun for me to manipulate, but damn if he ain't the best looking figure on my
Man,
line.
he is a gorgeous. Yeah, I didn't have a problem with it. Like I was like, I'm like, man, I wish there was an instructional thing. Like I was texting Brett, like, where do I put this piece at? Like, where does this go? Because it
That's
doesn't
a fair
really.
criticism, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like looking at the box and looking at like online or the production pictures or whatever. I'm like, where does that go? I don't know. But it's up to me anyways. I've seen people, do different things with the soft goods or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's all about fun, man. You got to keep it fun.
I like my display options. I've said I'm a huge fan of display options, and I don't always use everything that they give to us. But for me,
Yeah, I
I'm
don't either.
like, I like having that option there.
Absolutely. Yeah. If something's too busy or it doesn't fit right, leave it off. Put on another
His
figure.
He's my only of the Dark Four that I actually have the wings on. So I find, here you go. People say I never critique the line, or I never have. Oh, I only say good things. One of my complaints is I always feel like the wings looks like they're sculpted beautifully, and they do add something to the figure, but they are very dense and they're very heavy. So I
They're
personally
heavy.
always have I I don't like them cut corners, but I wish that those maybe were lighter in some way. If there was a way to get those a little bit lighter, or just to like they don't support their weight as good as I would like them to.
Hmm.
So a lot of my figures that have wings, like Aether, Poxis. Um, to be fair, I never even tried to attach Poxis's wings. So maybe he's those. Maybe those are
They're
supported just
not
fine.
bad. They're very kind of fragile,
Okay.
um, but they're not bad on the figure. But yeah, I'm looking at Gadriel, and I'm wondering if
Yes,
like
that's a great example
the
with the angel
Yosef
wings.
is going to have the same type of wing. Like, are they going to just like repaint those wings, or are they going to make all new ones? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure which way they're gonna go on that, but I felt like Necronominus needed to have his bone wings on there, especially if I was gonna have him like suspended in flight. Um, but
Now you
they're
got to send me a picture of your
I'll
necro.
send it. I'll
Not
send
yeah,
it. Well, so we
yeah,
can
because
take a
mine's
look.
just sitting on his horse. I didn't put the bone wings on yet. I'm kind of just happy as he's sitting here, but now I'm like, man, maybe I should put the bone wings on him. I was
Oh,
gonna,
they're incredible, dude.
yeah.
But they are cumbersome. So they have like that extra like little thumb bone. It's like a separate piece in the box. So now
I'm like, what do I do with this? I don't know
you
what
got
to
it.
do.
So you attach it like to the wing. So
Okay,
like the way I'm trying to right. So like the way it sits there, like this
yeah.
little piece right here, and like that'll pop out if you manipulate it the wrong way. So it's one of those cumbersome things that we were talking about where you got to kind of put a little bit of work into it.
Mm,
And they're wings, so they are a little bit heavy. They're like the individual spikes that come down, so you don't have the extra weighted plastic of like the webbing in between them.
right.
So they certainly hold better than your regular demon wings would.
And it does add to the figure visually, I think.
Oh, it's incredible. The shelf
Yeah.
was he needed those. He needs those for
Well, I
sure.
saw that they were selling them in the is it the All Star Six? They're selling them by themselves.
Okay. Yeah, I
I
think that
think.
was the case.
I'm like, what would you put those on? The Turpiculi or I
It's
don't
an
know what else.
option. It's an option for sure.
Hmm.
Like I said, most of the figures that have wings, I will only put them on to take a picture, and then I'll take them right back off because they wind up doing that like little sag
Yeah.
thing. And I'm sure I could put blue tack in there or something. Maybe a little kiki will help keep them up.
Hmm.
Um, but whatever, I'm able to get more on a shelf without the wings on there.
Yeah.
This guy needed them.
But I think at the end of the day, like it doesn't bother me if it's got a flaw or if it's got like if something's fussy, it is what it is. Like I accept it. I'm not going to go online and be like, it's like, what's the point? It's like, if it
If the
doesn't work,
whole collection was like that, I mean I would probably enjoy it less. But it's so far and away the opposite. I mean, most of the figures are about as simple as they come. Like
right,
the most complex thing you have with most of these things is like if you got to put the soft goods cape on or something.
right,
That far and away that's pretty much it.
yeah, like you said, they're pretty damn user friendly. Um, but yeah. So did you reserve a room for Legion's Con?
I did immediately. I had a feeling that they were going to go really fast and this so I was more concerned about getting my room for Legion's Con than an actual ticket for
Yeah, I
Legion's
didn't get a
Con.
ticket yet.
I mean, don't get me wrong, don't sleep on the tickets, guys. You definitely
Right.
want to hit the show floor.
We're gonna be
But
like this, like wanting to get in with and we got no tickets.
yeah, but the ironic part is I didn't want to miss out getting a room and I'm local enough for years I would just drive back and forth and I last year was my first time actually staying at the hotel and what a difference in just being able to enjoy it. I mean, I still hung out every night in the previous years, but to not have to worry about having to drive home or what
Right.
time it is, having to get up even earlier now to now drive back.
Mhm.
You buy whatever you want on the floor and then you can go leave it up in your room. You don't got to go run out to the
Yes.
car or
Yes.
anything like that. I don't know. It was a much better and more enjoyable experience for me last year getting to stay there, and I just didn't want to miss out on that. I get really
Right.
bad FOMO. To me, that's the show is awesome as a collector. Like you want to be there for all of the toy related stuff. And I don't want it to sound the wrong way, but that's become secondary to me. The primary thing that I enjoy the most now about Legion's Con is the friends I made and seeing everybody.
Absolutely.
It's hanging
Yeah.
out with everybody.
No, I agree. Yeah, before we go, I just wanted to ask, like last year with all the enabler boys there, like that had to be like make make your experience even better. That all these guys, like no one's local but you, right? So like
Yeah.
all these guys converging from all over the country to assemble, it had to be like a blast for you guys.
It was epic. It was epic because it had been a few years since Wyatt came back.
Mhm.
He had made plans to come back. I think every year since that first one where we all like hung out and stuff. But life happens, things happen, and he wasn't able to come down. So for him to actually get to make that trip this time, and it just happened to be at a very very special G-Con, the Dragon reveal, all of us to be
Right.
there in person for that. It was cool, man. It felt special, and it's you get there and you want to hang with so many people, and there's just never
Oh
enough time.
man.
You might, hey, let's grab food later, let's go do this, and sometimes it never happens. Sometimes your only interaction with someone you've been wanting to see is 3 to 5 minutes or 10 minutes,
Yeah,
because
for sure.
everyone is there. It's like Cheers, everybody knows your name.
Right.
um, but
Yeah.
those guys, like, there was like a concentrated effort, like, to all hang together. Like the first morning after the first night, like, me and Eric Miller, like, and his family, we all went to go like get food together, went to go get breakfast together.
Mhm.
I'm always with Joe. So we're always kind of like within like 10 to 15 feet of each other. Just happens to work out that way for some reason. But me and Noah got a lot more extra time together this year. Me and Wyatt being back here, got to spend a lot of extra time with him. It was special. It was really really special.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was great to see all you guys together. And I know, I mean, California is a long way, so it's a lot of work and effort and money to get from California to New Jersey. So that was great that he got to. And then I saw him again at MuskyCon.
Yeah, he's doing like toy community things, man.
Yeah.
He's
But he had
poor
he
guy,
had a rough time though.
poor guy. Yeah,
He had a rough time, man. Like we were waiting for him to show up. I was with Eric and Noah and waiting for him to show up, and I guess his clothes got lost.
yeah. And that was
Um,
only the beginning of his
that was
saga.
only the beginning, yeah. And then he had a great stay, as far as I know. Everything was wonderful and fun, and we all hung out at the bar till wee hours and enjoyed each other's company. And then when it was time for him to leave, um, the flight got delayed, or he got pulled off of the plane.
The exact reasons why I do not like to fly, he dealt with all of them, like the
Yeah,
delays. He's one of, like, his trip wound up taking like I think he had to take like another day off of work. Like, he had to miss a day
yeah,
of
like
work because he
he
wasn't back in time.
spent the night in Texas or something.
Yeah, it was a nightmare trip for him to like try to get home. But I mean, important thing, he got home safely. It's really all that matters.
Right.
But yeah, it's traveling. If I can drive somewhere, I will. I'm obviously not going to drive to the West Coast. Like, that coast to coast trip is not something I'm willing to do. But we've been taking the kids to Disney every year. I make that drive from New Jersey down there. Like, I'm not losing a day of my vacation. Just like, and people will be like, "Well, you spend a day driving anyway." Yeah, but I know pretty much with the time frame I'm going to get there.
Right.
I don't like that uncertainty, not knowing if my flight is or isn't going to get delayed. I'm not a I don't like getting in planes in the first place.
I'm not a fan either. It's like this. You're in a tube. You're
Humans,
helpless. You have no
yeah.
control over your destiny. Once you're in that tube, there's what are you gonna do?
And you got to do it. It's a necessary evil sometimes. Like, we love going to Vegas. I'm not driving to Vegas, so like I'll get on a plane, but I'm just, some people, like, it's not even a second thought to them. It's like, oh yeah, just book a flight. To me, I'm like, I just dread it. And then when I'm on
I do
vacation,
too.
I dread flying home the entire time. It's
Yeah.
just,
Yes, it's in my mind. I'm
yeah,
like, man, I got here. Now I got to get back.
yep.
Yeah, I don't like it. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. But yeah, I was grateful to see him. And I hope that he's not discouraged. I know everything
No, he's good. He's coming to Legion's
happened
Con.
negative to him. Is he going to be here at this year's?
Yeah, I mean, barring anything, I guess, with his job that would stop him from going, or
Yeah,
like I said, it's he never made a choice to not come. There's life happened. Like, there were events that kind of like stopped
right.
him from being able to attend the last few. But as far as I know, he's still full steam ahead on this year. I think I don't want to speak for him, but I think he got a room already. Pretty sure
Good
he did.
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, good deal. But I sure appreciate you, man, taking the time today.
Oh,
That hour went by quick. It's always great talking to you. I didn't have an itinerary. I was like, man, I just want to talk to Mike again.
off the rip.
It's been a while, and I'm always interested in what you have to say. So we'll have to have another catch up episode again after some more Mythic news happens.
Anytime, buddy. I appreciate you having me on here, man. Always a pleasure to be with you.
You're always welcome, man. Always good to see you. You have a good rest of your day.
You too, man. Enjoy
And
the
we'll
rest of your
catch
week,
up
too.
again soon.
Take care, buddy.
Thank you, my man. Remember, friends, to always have fun, be curious, share, and enjoy what this line has to offer. Come for the toys, but stay for the friends. Good night.